Hello, I'm Jimmy and I'm dying to play games, and this is part 1 of my top 20 games that turned 10 years old in 2017. 2007 was a great year for video games and I can't stop thinking about it, so I just had to make this. Let's go! Starting off this big list of games is a small downloadable title on the PS3. With its twin-stick mechanics for steering and shooting, exploding planets and debris, this colorful little masterpiece is a time machine to the days of the arcade. Hours of fun destroying planets through the rising difficulty, large boss fights and a great soundtrack really showed what kind of games were perfect for the newly opened online store. Super Stardust HD is great fun whether you have 10 minutes or 2 hours to spend on it. There's also a lot of downloadable extra content available. Next up is a game called Folklore. It's a mysterious tale of missing people, investigative reporters, and fantasy creatures galore. The two characters of Ellen and Keats both wind up in the small town of Doolin, searching for a missing woman. You play both characters, chapter by chapter, scouring the village, questioning the weird creatures inhabiting it, and journeying back and forth into the netherworld. In the netherworld you find folks, small monsters that you capture and then use as attacks against other monsters. There are plenty of creative creations in this game, and it's one of the few titles that uses the 6-axis motion controls in an innovative and engaging way. Starting out kind of slow, The Darkness first seems like just another generic shooter, but it's so much more than that. With a compelling story, supernatural stealth powers, and a symphonic ambiance, the game really finds its own identity after only an hour of playtime. The shooting is okay, but everything else really clicks. Walking through dark graveyards, dank subway tunnels, and giant construction sites, all the while shooting out all the lights to make your darkness powers work better, you will find yourself in the middle of an interesting story of warring families and conspiracies. The interactions between Jack and the NPCs remind me a lot of Half-Life and Riddick, and that's a great thing. Plus, phone numbers as collectibles is a neat idea, and you never know who you might end up calling.
Yo, Jackie! It's me, Enzo! Way up!
Codemasters, mostly known for rally racing games, actually made something else, purely original and set in a fantasy world. Overlord is a hidden gem not many people played, and it's pure evil and pure fun at the same time. You control the Overlord, duh, and the Overlord has full control over his minions, again, duh. You guide them towards enemies, objects, sheep or treasures, whatever your fancy is, and they'll take care of it. Whether it's killing someone, collecting something or destroying something, they'll do it without question. Journey through an imaginative world, building your tower and increasing your power, all the while enjoying some dark British humor. The debut of Ratchet Clank on the PlayStation 3 is a great return to the franchise's roots. With Insomniac's trademark catalog of imaginative weapons and amazing graphics and sound, this is a great game for platforming lovers. Travel all around the galaxy, visit the planet of the pirate robots, and solve puzzles and make enemies dance with the Groovytron. I personally would actually like this higher up on the list, but that just means there were a lot of good games in 2007. After years of declining quality, 2007 was the last year of a somewhat decent Tony Hawk skateboarding game, but the new King in the Castle came out the same year. EA Black Box's Skate was a new take on the genre, with its skill stick controls, left stick for body, right stick for feet, triggers for hands, and a big open city to skate in, and of course the video editor. The skate reel function captures your every move, and you can even upload the clips to a website and then download them onto your computer. Skate was a refreshing take on the skateboarding genre of video games, and with its 2 sequels, it brought us years of satisfaction. Now we're just left wondering where Skate 4 is. I mean, it's been 7 years since Skate 3. Come on, EA! The debut of Ubisoft's Assassin's series surely was groundbreaking. After breaking several of the Creed's vows, Altair gets stripped of his rank and abilities and has to start from scratch. This is how the game begins, and throughout the 15 to 20 hour journey you learn all the basics of killing as a profession, and start to eliminate several important characters one by one. This game takes place during the Third Crusade in and around Jerusalem, Damascus, and Acre. In 2007, this felt so refreshing. The battle system, both sword fighting and hidden blade stabbing, the parkour movement, climbing and jumping across rooftops, and of course the satisfying penetration of a knife in the back. Sorry for going all psycho, but this game makes you thirsty for blood. Digital blood. I promise, I only need digital blood.
This is no game.
So be it!
Oh, my leg!
The first game in the series about the Witcher Geralt and his many alliances, The Witcher is a giant breath of fresh air in the RPG department. Albeit rough around the edges, with a combat mechanic that is much to desire, this game dove deep into character, atmosphere and world building instead. What it lacks in motion, it makes up for in emotion. After losing his memory, meeting old friends and learning to fight again, Geralt starts to uncover mischievous plots and uncharted lands. The story and the world take center stage as you experiment with your magic science, increase your knowledge in alchemy, and battle fantastic beasts. While it's the weakest entry in the trilogy, it's a thrilling start of an epic journey that never seems to end. Crysis barraged out on the market like a freight train, taking every PC rig by storm. Kind of literally too, this game was way more powerful than anything out at the time. However, power isn't everything, even though it made the game look absolutely stunning. This is a great first-person shooter taking place in a mostly tropical setting, with clever enemy AI, lots of guns and different powers for your suit, like cloaking or super strength or super speed. The story is interesting too, with deceiving twists and conspiracies abound. Plus, today it's kind of easy to get a modest PC to play it, so that's nice. For number 11 on my list, I chose Crackdown, and I just love this game. It's basically an open world third-person action fest filled with collectibles and missions to overtake and bad guys to take down. Drive around the big city, look for ability upgrades, jump around on rooftops with superhuman powers and fight off offenders from all sides. It's got a cel-shaded kind of look, which makes it look very unique for 2007 too. This game is highly addictive, and I recommend it to anyone who likes anything like Grand Theft Auto or Assassin's Creed, or even traditional third-person platformers like Sly Cooper or Banjo-Kazooie.
New agency intel, Agent.
So now we're halfway through the list, and I'll be bringing you the other half sometime really soon. However, I do want to end on a couple of runner-ups that didn't make the list. Tony Hawk's Proving Ground is the first. Now don't get me wrong, this is not a great game, but it's the last of the traditional Tony Hawk games. After this they did Ride and Shred, and it just gets worse from there. So this game gets a special mention for being the last of a long line of decent games. But in the debut year of Skate, this really got left in the dark. Another game worth mentioning is the Simpsons Game. It nailed down some of the stuff perfectly, like the animations, graphics, humor and the soundtrack. But the gameplay gets boring quick, and that's a major drawback of a game that actually has some interesting stories to tell. After all, the variation in the level design is great, and you'll want to stick around to the end of everything. Anyway, there are some other games worth mentioning. I'll be talking more about those in the next video. Stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for watching. Let's go play some games.
You self-medicate with food.
We'll cut down all the forests in Springfield and turn each tree into a single luxury toothpick.
Great idea, Mr. Burns. One tiny question, won't that lead to environmental disaster?
If you want to make an omelet, you have to wreck a few planets.
Well said, sir. Well said.